Well, good evening. Hello, friends. Welcome to Afterburner. It is all Ryan all the time. Pike on your left, my right. Pinder on your right, my center. Hello, friends. It is a 3-1 final. The Vancouver Canucks beat the Calgary Flames. Pike, we will not dance around it. You used a phrase, a terminology, a two-worded thing to describe what the Flames are walking into today. It was what? Two words.
The term we use in the biz is scheduled loss.
Scheduled loss. So if you're ready for built-in excuses and nonsense, never had a chance, you've come to the right place. But kidding aside, walk us through the scheduled loss tonight, because it's a league where theoretically things should be even. These two teams and how well rested they are not even close. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum here coming into tonight's action.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, every team plays 82 games over 192 days. But in the short term, so the Flames are playing tonight. This is a back-to-back for them. They'd also played Saturday in Buffalo, so it was 3 games in 4 days in 3 cities and 3 time zones. They'd also played 2 days before that. They'd also played 2 days before that. So over the past 8 days, the Flames have played 5 games with travel. So they are professional athletes. They fly on private planes. They are in nicer hotels than most of us are. They have access to the kind of recovery stuff that most of us can only dream of.
Yes.
But they, compared to their opposition, they were bagged.
I was going to say, so compared to people that had to do this by bus, they would have dominated. But compared to a team that had been in their beds since Thursday late, depending on the clock.
They played, the Canucks played in LA on Thursday night, flew home, slept in their own beds, and outside of a shellacking from Edmonton on Saturday night, were basically idle. So, and I mean, anyone who saw that game would say that they were kind of idle in that game too.
Yeah.
So,
and look, I thought they played well. If you're looking for us to come on and hammer the Flames, that's as good as you can look given the circumstances that we noted. The Vancouver Canucks, I would suggest, have a more talented roster. They didn't dominate the Flames. This was a hard-fought effort from the visitors. And when you factor in all the things that you noted, I think it's an effort that does not need to be scolded so much as that's kind of what it looks like when, as you said, 5 games in 5 different cities in the last 8 days in 3 different time zones. And this was the second half of a back-to-back on the end of that. They'll now get some rest. They'll be home for Friday against Nashville. Nashville will have played the night before, I believe, in Edmonton. And so, it is never exactly the same on rest for teams, or rarely is. But this was one of the more difficult. If there's 82 games and there's like 5 or 6 over the course of the whole year where you're like, the deck's really stacked against them, it doesn't mean you can't still hit a blackjack. It's just way harder when the deck's stacked. This was one of them.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest here. Let's call a spade a spade. If you look on paper, the rosters of the Flames and the other 31 teams, the Flames would be, let's say, middle of the road, maybe bottom third in the league in terms of like on paper talent.
Sure.
And they played we saw them on Monday night play a hell of a hockey game, but that style is very taxing, and you basically have to play, very structured 5-man, first to every puck battle hockey, and playing that on back-to-back nights cannot be fun. And so, they went into a building where it's tough to play against a very good team that's a little bit pissed off, probably very pissed off of how they played recently, and they managed to not get run out of the building. So if you're the Flames, you look at this game and go, yeah, okay, played a divisional game, played a divisional opponent, gave them a run for it, had a lead at one point, lost for a couple of specific reasons, one of which is just the overall structure of the league schedule. But you can't really, it's a loss, but you can't really blame them too much for it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like their first period the most. That's arguably when you've got the most jump in a situation like the one we just unfolded to you. You have Pospisil creating a couple chances. Lomberg out front probably wishes he got a little more on that Kirkland pass. Kirkland then does score. The fourth line was great tonight. Rooney setting up Kirkland. It was a bounce off of Hughes after a rebound on a save from Lankinen that ends up getting tucked in. Flames led 1-0 after 20, but it was the dregs of the first period that cost them early in the second. As 23 seconds in, a penalty taken at the 20-minute mark, essentially because of the empty net and the delayed call on the way, would be a power play goal for the Vancouver Canucks. Pettersson on the board. He's had a nice little resurgence. Then it's Pius Suter 2 minutes and 5 seconds later, and it was taillights from there. Brandstrom in the third. Flames trying to muster up stuff, but really struggled to create scoring chances, especially in the final 40. Is that, would the numbers reflect that?
Yeah, looking at our pals at Natural Stat Trick, the scoring chances for the first 40 minutes were 17-10 for the Canucks, and then the Flames grind, they got 6-2 in the third, but wasn't quite enough. High danger chances at 5-on-5 were 5-4 Canucks overall, 5-3 Canucks in the first two periods. The Canucks just in the third period, they allowed some regular scoring chances, but they kept the Flames from really doing much right around the net front area. They did a good job boxing out in front of Kevin Lankinen, and it was the game the Canucks probably felt they needed to have based on how they let one get away on opening night. So
yeah, that's fair.
All I say is we'll see them again on New Year's Eve, and I think the scheduling shoe might be on the other foot. The Flames will, I think, be a much more rested team at that point and won't be traveling that much. So I think the last two games of this rivalry in the saddle will be quite fun. And if based on the way the first two games have gone, should be entertaining at least. Yeah.
Special teams. Let's get to that. You had noted it. I would say, man, special teams are killing these guys. Their record coming into tonight, 8-5-3. Imagine if they just had middle of the pack power play and penalty kill. Like, you're talking about an improved record. There are that many games where it's like, damn, if we just weren't -2 in special teams, we would have won this thing. 8-5-3 is a tidy record. They dropped to 8-6-3 tonight. Special teams were not an abyss tonight, but they did lose the battle. They finish 0-for-2 on the man advantage, 2-for-3 on the penalty kill. It's the power play goal early in the second that ties the game. Canucks didn't wait around on that game being tied long, as we noted. 2 minutes, 5 seconds. They take the lead. It was the only lead they'd need all night. What are you seeing, and how would you, I guess, characterize the state of the power play and the penalty kill?
Power play ain't good.
Good
with the 0-for-2 tonight. They're down to, I believe, 14.6%. Which, looking at their rankings, they're down. They dropped past St. Louis to 28th. So the Flames have a bottom 5 power play. And their penalty kill 1-for-3, I believe, also slid down. So they're 27th or 28th. Yeah, they allowed 1-for-3, so they were 2-for-3.
Yes.
So they are, I believe, 28th. I can't,
around 70%,
72, 71 something.
Yeah.
So not good. I mean, on paper, I did a show earlier today with Canucks Army's David Quadrelli, and we discussed the surprising things with the Flames. If you had told me, to start the season, the Flames would be a mediocre 5-on-5 team that manages to eke out games on special teams, I'd look at it and go, yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. Maybe,
good penalty kill last year.
Good penalty kill, not just last year, since 2018.
Sure, and it fits the identity of the team. There's a blue-collar team that's going to play with structure. They should be good penalty killers. Yeah, they got a lot of bottom half of the roster guys that will sacrifice and work hard. They've got all the ingredients you'd want for a penalty kill. And the power play was actually hot with down the stretch after the deadline.
Yeah, it was one of the top 4 or 5 power plays once Kuzmenko got to Calgary. So, yeah, you can go, maybe Huberdeau can get his mojo going. Kadri, like, on paper, the personnel, you look at and go, hey, I can see them having a good power play. You look at Coleman, Backlund, Sharon Govich, the PK could be good. Instead, they've been a pretty good 5-on-5 team.
Yes.
Sawing off close to even, maybe a little bit above even. I haven't looked at their numbers the last couple of days. But they're amongst the NHL's better 5-on-5 teams, especially relative to their talent level on paper. But their special teams have been just
the Flames are
not good.
9th best team at 5-on-5 by goals for versus against. 1.26 goals for every goal against at 5-on-5. Top 10 in the league. 5-on-5. That's really good. That may or may not include tonight's, but either way, you get the point.
Yeah, you drop down one goal differential.
So top 10,
still pretty close, pretty good.
Yeah, like you're talking about the top third of the league, And as you're suggesting, the special teams are bottom, not third, like bottom sixth of the league in both penalty kill and power play. It's you can't blame Mark Savard this year for this.
No, it's and I if you look at what they're doing, I mean, it's like a lot of it is just sort of weird stuff on the PK, like weird bounces, weird reads, weird stuff. But like, during that the Elias Pettersson goal, you could have just put like a penny on him and said, that guy's going to score. That guy right there. See the guy standing there with a stick?
Cover him.
But they didn't, so they lose the draw, they get scrambly, they give up the goal, and then they're sort of chasing for a couple minutes. They give up a second goal, and so if you manage to have a better PK in this game, if you somehow manage to block out
go 3 for 3,
and heading into this game, the Canucks power play has not been great, and so if you block them out on 5, and just rely on 5 and 5, probably eke out a point. But this is the kind of game where you look at their special teams and go, ooh, if this was a team that you are looking at and going, I hope they make the playoffs this year, this is the kind of game you look at and go, missed opportunity. If you are the other type of fan, we're not telling you if it's good or bad to be that type of fan. You're allowed to cheer for what you want to cheer for.
Fan how you'd like to fan. I'm stop doing the wave during a shutout in the final 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Exactly. Fan how you want to fan. But it's if this is the type of loss that you look at from one perspective and go, yeah, they played pretty good. They battled. They just ran out of steam. Yeah, okay. It's a loss. It's a loss. It's a good loss. And if you're the kind of fan going, oh, I hate any kind of loss, it's the kind of loss you look at and go, oh, it's to the Canucks and in something that you should be better at.
Yeah. Okay. They've taken away Kevin Rooney's assist on the first goal.
What?
Goodness.
Is it unassisted now?
It is reading unassisted now.
Are they going to give it?
Rooney assist? Shot it.
Are they going to
rebound bounced off Quinn Hughes? So perhaps that is what negated the assist. Kirkland, an absolute Pike bomb you dropped on Twitter shortly after the Kirkland goal. This can't be right, but I am going to allow you to repeat your incorrect stat once more.
It is a correct stat.
Okay.
So I'm literally pulling up the updated stats now.
It's impressive
because it's hilarious.
I'm like, this can't be right.
It's a weird stat. Insane. And you can lean over me and look at the stat.
No, I believe you. I'm just having fun.
So the Calgary Flames through 17 games. Rasmus Anderson leads the Flames in 5 and 5 points with 9.
Yeah.
As you might expect, Rasmus Anderson has been excellent this year. Tied for second place in 5 and 5 points are Jonathan Huberdeau with 7 and Justin Kirkland with 7.
I'm sorry, Ryan. It sounded like you said Justin Kirkland was tied for second on the team in 5 on 5 points, and he didn't even break camp with the club.
That is correct, sir. Justin Kirkland has not just he has 6 5 and 5 points, and actually 7 5 and 5 points, and 6 of them are primary points. So he's amongst the most productive Flames while playing
per minute
almost exclusively on the fourth line.
His 5 on 5 rate is through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, and
it's the best on the team. That's wild.
Let me check Puckpedia. I'm pretty sure he's at league min.
He's got to be at league min. Yeah,
if not league min, pretty close to it. Puckpedia has him at league min. So what, Justin Kirkland, way to go.
You want to factor in ice time, salary, role? Like, doesn't get better. You know what it is? It's that Kirkland signature value. That's what it is.
Yeah, and like I said,
you can go spend for the label, Pike,
and
it's the same quality product at a fraction of the price.
I'll say this, dear friends, I love you all. I will accept no fourth line slander for the amount of money that the 3 guys on the fourth line are getting paid and the ice time they're getting. My goodness,
like the best line tonight. We'll take it.
It's been one of their. It's been fairly consistently like their best line or their second best line pretty much all season. Like, Lomberg's had a few games where you go, ooh, you wish you could get a little bit more out of him. But, Kirkland, when he's going, is good. Rooney has, he's useful on the PK sometimes. Like the PK problems are not a Rooney issue. I think it's a little bit more cosmic than that. But 5 on 5, the only line that won more than 50% of their faceoffs was Rooney's line. So, I'm not in the mood for Rooney slander right now.
Okay. Let us get, we showed you the only Flames goal. How wonderful of us. Let's get to the road ahead. We'll look at the schedule. We noted it's been hectic. Every team has incredibly busy stretches and then also some large breaks and then some long homestands. The Calgary Flames are doing all three of those things in exactly that order. They're done their incredibly busy stretch. They now will have a bit of a break, and then they will play 4 straight at home, as you see here. Nashville on Friday. So they'll be in their beds. Let's do the math, probably by 2, 3 a.m. here tonight.
That sounds right.
And then they will likely have an off day tomorrow. You'll get a good practice in on Thursday. You will play Friday, and then you're off till Tuesday. That will be 1 game over the course of 7 days.
That is correct.
That's a really nice unstructured bit. And they get to stay at home until November 23rd, after which they'll probably fly the following day out to Ottawa. So it is all of the things. It was crazy and tons of travel. Then it's a huge break, 1 game over the course of 7 days, and you get to stay at home for a nice week plus. So we're seeing it all here. Walk us through what you're seeing there on the schedule, though, in terms of some of the matchups and storylines.
Well, we have
Nashville,
the Nashville Predators, who are just fighting it this year. Like they should be better. They went out, they made the big splash by getting Steven Stamkos, and just has not worked out for them.
And Marchessault and Shea.
Yeah, they did a lot of things that you go, yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Barry Trotz, good work. Making a splash, good work. It hasn't really worked out for them this year, and they're playing, as you noted, in Edmonton the evening before. So as much as the Flames were handed a scheduled loss by the schedule maker this evening, they have a potential scheduled win in store for them on Friday if they play, I think, the way that we probably should rightfully expect them to play. Then they get a weekend off. As an aside, we haven't really had a lot of 8 p.m. Saturday night starts, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm kind of okay with that, but the traditionalist in me misses those 8 p.m. starts, but only on Saturdays. Every other time I want to be in my bed. 5 p.m. weekday starts are the best. Then Tuesday, the Flames expansion cousins, the New York Islanders, are in town for their third to last visit to the palatial Scotiabank Saddledome before the Saddledome gets turned into a dust heap sometime in 2027. So Islanders are a very 500 team. They keep puttering around. They managed to have a dramatic comeback against the Oilers.
Yes, they erased a 2-goal deficit in the third period, only to lose in overtime to the Oilers.
That's a very Islanders team.
It's a very Oilers thing to do as well. Yeah.
All those things. Then the Adam Fox Cup is here on November 21st, Thursday, where we see the Flames welcome Adam Fox and a bunch of players that also play with Adam Fox. I think Igor Shesterkin's still in that team.
He plays with Adam Fox, at least through this year.
A very good New York Rangers team comes to town. And then
they got rolled up by the Jets tonight. They were favored at home against the 14-1 club.
Everyone's getting rolled
Jets
up by the
Jets.
Jets
6-3. Jets are a wagon.
If you're the Flames, there, you look back on how close you kept that game, and you go, okay, yeah, feeling a little bit better about that now.
They gave you 2 goals from the goal lines. Thank you, Eric Comrie.
And if you think you're getting a respite, remember how I bitched about a lack of 8 p.m. Saturday starts?
Yeah.
The homestand ends on November 23rd, a Saturday at 2 p.m. when the Flames play the powerhouse Minnesota Wild.
Kaprizov's been great. Gustafson's been excellent in net. Faber for Fiala may go down as one of Bill Guerin's best swaps.
Yeah. And then it's back on the road for an Amazon Prime game, the Julian McKenzie Cup on Monday the 25th.
It used to be the old Kachuk Bowl. Now it's the Julian McKenzie Cup.
It's the McKenzie Bowl.
McKenzie Bowl.
Julian will just feel very conflicted the entire game and then write something good afterwards.
Yeah, that's exactly what he would do.
But yeah, it's an interesting stretch of games because like the schedule in terms of just the pace of games, you're at home, you control your own destiny, you control your own preparation. But I mean, Nashville might be the only easy game,
and I don't buy that at all.
They're gonna.
I think this is the wounded animal. I think this is absolutely I get it's the second half of a back-to-back, but if you start thinking you get scheduled wins when you're the Calgary Flames at your skill level, you have scheduled disappointment because they aren't so good that they can say, "Oh yeah, Nashville was." We saw them on TV last night up at the rink that looks like a toilet seat. They're obviously going to be tired. We get a win tonight. No, you're going to have to outwork them.
I think it looks like a dehumidifier.
Could be both. I mean, maybe it's one of those fancy Japanese. It's a 2-in-1. It's got the heated seat, humidifier, spray, the whole. Yeah, okay. Either way, lovely facility. Don't do that here. But you're going to have to outwork Nashville. It will be, if Nashville works the hardest and you work your hardest and they run into a wall in the third because they played the night before, so be it. But you can't just sit back and be like, I'll be a half stride slower today and give the Predators 5 power plays. It's not going to happen. You're going to lose that game.
Yeah. And Nashville, even when they're bad, still has an identity of their team. They battle. And I think that's low key going to be a very interesting game for the Flames, because it is the Flames versus a team that on paper is kind of structured like the Flames. They have to play the same way the Flames do in order to be successful, especially now that, it doesn't seem like things are going their way.
Yeah.
So like that could be, that'll be a really fun game. I'm really curious looking at the next stretch of games, how they split up goaltending, because, Dan Vladar would not put any blame on him for this one. Power play goal, big screen, and a really nice passing sequence that Suter finished off. Really nothing that he could do. And we saw just an absolute clinic from Dustin Wolf the other night. I think Wolf has better numbers. He has a better record now.
I think he's the better goalie. I think Vladar's been very good. I think Wolf's been excellent.
Do you split these 4 games in the homestand up 50-50?
Throw the schedule back up. Here's what the Flames have done, and it's been incredibly consistent. You've alternated goalies all year with 2 exceptions, coming off the goaltender's best performances of the season. And then tonight you theoretically could have gone Wolf, but that'd be 4 and 5. That's not terribly balanced. It's going to be Vladar on Friday, and unless he's great, it'll be Wolf on Friday, and unless he hangs a 0, it'll be Vladar on Tuesday. Like, clearly, part of the formula here is that both of these guys are in rhythm, and they're fighting for starts. And so what you've shown them is, if you're going to be this good, we'll give you 2 in a row. But it's only happened once for each goalie. Yeah. And so it's going to be alternation until you force our hand.
And part of it was just the rhythm of the schedule too. Like, you had the ability to sort of throw a guy 2 starts. Like, coming on, if this wasn't a back-to-back, maybe you give Wolf a second one.
Yeah. With all the travel, it didn't, and then it would have been 4 out of 5 games he would have started. It had to be Vladar tonight. But you're right. If there was a homestand in Vancouver, was in Calgary tomorrow, and they didn't play again until Friday, why not Wolf again? Sure. So I think it's been pretty easy to project who the starter's been thus far. I think you keep to the formula. Have you got better than average goaltending? Yes. Is it the best you've ever seen, Dustin Wolf? Yes. Is this the best version of Dan Vladar we've had in Calgary? Probably. So don't mess with the formula.
Yeah, and even let's start with the natural stat trick. As of this game, the Flames are still number 1 in 5-on-5 save percentage. So
you're gonna go reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, absolutely. You might as well just keep going with it until one of these guys
number 1 in 5-on-5 save percentage.
They traded the guy. They traded the guy who got Vezina votes and finished high in the Vezina rankings last few years, and have better goaltending.
Yep. It's goalies. Good luck predicting them.
And the guy who's he's second or third? He's third right now in 5-on-5 save percentage right now. Was ranked. He was drafted 4th from last in 2019. Almost didn't get drafted because he's a wee bit small.
Yeah, if he was taller and did the exact same things, first rounder. Look at Spencer Knight. Almost identical resumes, and first round, top 15 picks, or 4th from not being drafted.
And they were actually
teammates at 2 World Juniors.
Yeah, the year they won the gold, Spencer Knight was the starter. He was the top goalie drafted in the 19 draft, and Dustin Wolf was the backup, the last goalie picked in the 19 draft.
What are all these results people are looking at? This guy's taller. He goes in round 1. He goes in round 7. I don't care if the results are the same.
Well, Boston University. I mean, you gotta take the BU goalie, right? And then
there's some good BU goalies out there.
There's a few, but I mean, the Everett Silvertits have also produced good goalies
as well.
There's some variability. I mean, Leland Irving says hello.
Yeah, I'm just not going to say his name. It's not kind of you. Good golfer. Very good at golf.
Good man. Too. I like golfer. Leland. It's great hair.
Very conversational fellow. Okay, let us get to some bills we needs to pay. We want to tell you, man, Richmond's Pub was great. You were there. You came by for the Montreal game. Yeah. This was the Coronado game of his life game, which was a ton of fun. We're doing it again. We're going to have Afterburner live from Richmond's Pub. December 3. Pike, we're testing your knowledge of the schedule.
Oh, damn it.
December 3. December 3.
Still have it open.
But it's not just the Flames. You'll have Barn Burner Blonde, tall cans available for sale. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
So it's wing night.
So it is wing night, yeah.
Do we want to tell them who the opponent is, or will everyone know by December 3?
December 3 is going to be emotional. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, it's
and you'll know the rest.
It is the visit. And this might be the hottest ticket in the regular season. Strangely enough, the
hot feels like the wrong way to describe it, but yes, this will be.
It's a ticket that's in demand. I think it'll be a time where a lot of fans, longtime fans, want to be in the building because the Columbus Blue Jackets will be making their one and only trip to the Saddledome this year. Sean Monahan's return to the Saddledome. The first time Columbus came to the Saddledome since the untimely and tragic passing of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother. And so I think it's going to be kind of an emotional night. I think it's going to be hopefully, a good night for both teams because, it's
an emotionally charged night to be sure.
Yeah. And
it'll be emotional at Richmond's as well. I'll tell you, there was not a lot of dry eyes for a long time there. Be that Calgary, Columbus, the hockey community. Then time passes. Then you see the memorial services. Then you see the tributes on the first night. Then you see the Blue Jackets' first home game. Yeah, I expect another one of those December 3. So
yeah, so if you
won't be a boring night.
If you're not going to be at the Dome, you should be at Richmond's, and why not both? It's on my way home.
That's
from
true.
The rink,
it is
so
Afterburner.
I can't rule out me stopping by being terribly overdressed.
Good, do it. Love it.
I like
game day specials on booze as well. TVs everywhere. We've told you about their NFL VIP experience, NHL VIP experience, all kinds of chances to win, but you got to be at Richmond's to do that. In the heart of Glamorgan, right near Pike's favorite cheese buns at 3919 Richmond Road. See you there.
It's a good spot.
It was a long weekend of sorts. Reaction to Anthony Mantha, is season over.
Oh, you just feel bad for the guy because if you want to be cynical and call it a pump and dump, and I
is that cynical? Or is that just the business?
I think it's a little.
Did they sign him
and cynical? But
yeah,
but like if it's kind of that for both. Like if you're Anthony Mantha, are you going to get a better chance to pump up your offensive numbers than playing on the power play and playing with Jonathan Huberdeau in Calgary? Probably not. And if you're the Flames, were you going to get somebody who could potentially contribute the way that Mantha could at his price point? Probably not. And
yeah, it was a fit for a reason.
Yeah.
It was a guy that needed opportunity, and it was a team that was desperate for that type of a player and had the opportunity to give.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a shame. I mean, the silver lining is it gives some younger players a little bit more, runway to take some ice time, but especially for a guy who's 30 and you don't know how recovery from an ACL injury is going to go. Knees are weird. I have friends who hurt their knees in their 20s and then didn't quite recover properly because any number of weird things can happen with recovery. So at the very least, hopefully Mantha has a nice a successful surgery and a smooth recovery, and he gets a chance to show his quality somewhere because he feels like someone who's going to be potentially a PTO instead of a UFA acquisition. And for his sake, hopefully he turns being a PTO into being someone that people go, ooh, how did they get him on a PTO? That's insane.
It's fair. Tough, but yeah, I think it's for the likes of Pospisil, Zeri, Coronado. I mean, there's just more ice.
Yeah, and I mean, it's if I'm Matt Coronado, the only thing keeping Matt Coronado out of the NHL was the fact that the Flames had too many wingers. And you can make a similar case for Jacob Pelche. You can make a similar case for Adam Klapka. The Flames don't have a lot of centers. They got too many wingers to the point where they have wingers playing center.
Yes.
And you take a winger out of the rotation and potentially it opens up a little bit of flexibility they didn't have before. So but it's always a shame when
that's
it comes
a tough break. It is.
Yeah, it's always a shame when someone's opportunity comes at the sake of another player's season.
Yeah, that's fair. Bet365. Let's take a peek at tomorrow's schedule. I want to tell you Bet365, friends of ours, but also the world's largest sports betting platform. Open an account with Bet365 today, and you can bet on a huge range of markets. Download the app today. Use our promo code NATION. There it is on your screen. Promo code NATION when you sign up. So, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Pike, here is what we have in store for tomorrow. Some intriguing storylines there. Man, the Penguins are bad. They just traded Lars Eller back to the Washington Capitals for another tour of duty there. They're favored. I don't know how many more nights, Jack, you're going to find the Penguins favored at home, but there's one. Interestingly, the Leafs and that high-octane offense, they got shut out tonight against a Washington club we all thought was that's the team falling out of the playoffs for sure in the East. They've been great. Ovechkin's been on fire, 10 goals already. They're favored at home over the Leafs. Utes against the Canes. Okay, very good. Carolina on the road, but favored quite considerably there. Kings and Avs is interesting. The Avalanche have kind of got their S together of late. And the Kings coming off that loss Monday night in Calgary. We'll see what kind of bounce back they have on the road as they go from quite a significant altitude to a mile high, even higher in Denver. And finally, the nightcap, Vegas on the road, heavy favorites against the Young Ducks in Anaheim.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado's getting everybody back by the sounds of it, or pretty close to it. So Colorado, when they're at their full complement, are a very
Val Nichushkin, apparently Friday, he's going to go.
That's the rumor.
And so that's not the Kings game we see there. It'd be their next action, but welcome back, Big Val. That's what they're saying. And honestly, everyone's like, John Barry back out of the trade. The asset is worth not much unless you can show he is what he was before last year.
And do you know who's in town in Denver that night?
Please tell me.
The Capitals. That'll be a fun game. That's going to be a fun game.
All right. Very good. So that is a look at tomorrow's schedule for our good friends at Bet365. Use that promo code NATION. You would have been happy if you had Leon Draisaitl on a 2-point night, or Connor McDavid. Maybe you laddered him up to 3 or even 4 points tonight. Less happy if you had the Flames plus 1.5. But hey, I mean, do your own thing out there.
Less happy if you had put all your money on a Kevin Rooney assist and then
only to
take it away.
Only to have it taken back. Bah! Interestingly, tonight, we'll get to comments and questions right away here, by the way. The Canucks, for the 8th consecutive game, fell behind 1-0. That's a hell of a run. That feels like a even-numbered Jacob Markstrom year thing.
I don't even know what to say, man. It's just weird. It's spooky.
That's very odd. 8 in a row, 1-0 other guys. I don't think the Canucks have looked quite near their best yet. I think Thatcher Demko is a big part of that. And I think they're probably going to add a D at some point. The Daniel Sprong experiment's done. The only Dutchman in the NHL is off back to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're getting Dakota Joshua back.
That's true.
Thursday, potentially.
Yeah.
Dakota Joshua been out since the beginning of the season with testicular cancer treatment. He's apparently doing very well. He's basically just working on his cardio.
Good.
And so
good to hear.
You know, he's almost back, and then I think they got some holes they got to fill. But you know, if you're the Canucks, I think you look at this division and go, we can hang around for a bit while we figure it out.
Yeah, no, I agree. You don't have a Jets team that's run away. Now the Oilers haven't hit stride yet. I think Vegas had a nice little hot run for a moment there, but we're kind of outperforming their underlyings. And you know, Mark Stone missing games again. It's a little early for that, but they don't seem to be too worried. Why not the Canucks, I suppose? But I think you'd like to see a healthy Thatcher Demko before you really felt inspired by them.
By points percentage, the Canucks are in first place right now.
Not bad.
So, I mean, for a team that hasn't really
to tread water until Demko's back, so to speak. And another important note, Elias Pettersson's starting to look a little more like the Elias Pettersson we've watched for quite some time, piling up points. There's been some seasons where he hasn't.
What did you think of Lekara-Mackey tonight?
I mean, we saw him in Penticton. I think he's a very high skill player. I don't have a lot of Lekara-Mackey notes for you. There was one play where I'm like, there's Hughes, and he didn't give it to Hughes. I'm like, I would have given it to Hughes.
He had that one chance, I think, in the second period, right around the net front, where he just sort of bounced the wrong way on him. Like everything was looking like he was going to get his first goal in front of his parents in his first game.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening tonight for you. But I don't know. I thought he didn't look out of place. He looked like he belonged, but he didn't really stand out.
Excuse me. That's fair. Pettersson, better. Last 4 games, 3 goals. Last 4 games, 2 assists as well. Happy birthday. 5 points in his last 4. That's the Pettersson they need to see. That's the Pettersson that, I don't know. Rick Tocchet probably want to see a little more of in the playoffs, down the stretch. He is in the early days of an extension that pays him $11.6 million a year. You shouldn't have to wonder if your offensively talented $11.6 million player is going to be a point per game player. It should just be a thing, but starting to round into form potentially.
Yeah, there's just too much talent for him to be dragging it like this. I don't know. Hopefully he's figuring it out. I mean, he looked decent tonight, and decent him got a couple of points. So I mean, if he can get some swagger going into this game, he can be scary good.
Okay. Comments and questions. Producer Jack is patrolling the comments. A dangerous thing to do at any time, but we sent our bravest man there. Let's go to the questions. Okay, I'm going with Weegar, Ball, and Pahal long-term. What say you? Well, I'll say this. Brad Pahal's been a really nice number 5-6 for this club. He was on waivers a year ago. Let's not go pretending he's a top 4 defenseman. And you have got an absolute glut of right shot D expected to graduate to the NHL level over the next 3 years. Long-term would be the wrong terminology for Pahal. Short-term, I very much like him, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Weegar, they already signed for $1 million years, and
Weegar's got 6 years left, right?
Weegar's already underpaid.
Yeah, it's already a value. 6.25.
Ball's got a year left. He's an RFA. He's making $1 million.
Ball seems like a nice fit on a championship caliber team. If he's your 5, boy, you feel good. Yeah. Right now, he looks really good with Rasmus Anderson as a second pair.
I think you can throw. If it was up to me, I do 1 or 2 year deals for Ball and Pahal. I'd probably go longer on Ball because I think we've seen more. I'd go longer with Ball. But like Pahal, like he's a
perfect placeholder.
I think for a third pairing role, Pahal might be the best guy in the system suited to it. But I think you could basically go to everybody with the right shot in your system and say, be better than this guy. Take his job.
Yeah.
But I think you can sign him. He won't be expensive. And I think he's someone who fits the identity of what they want the team to play like very well.
Yeah. And long-term, again, is the word. So
like,
if this person thinks 2 years is long-term, sure. If he thinks 5 years, you're absolutely drunk. Remember, you've got a Grushnikov in the system who, if he is going to be there at any point, that's going to be his slot, right side of the third pair. Hunter Brestevich, you'd expect him to graduate in the next 2 years. Right shot. Zane Perrick, right shot. He should be here in the next year and a half. Like, what are you going to do? Have 6 right shot D? They got 5 right now. Like, they're playing Barry on the left, Weegar on the left. Ball's their only lefty. Ball, I could totally get down with locking in. If the price is right, get him in there. He's a defense-first defender. I really like Pahal. That doesn't mean I'm going to give him a roster spot on an already clogged right side for 3, 4, 5 years down the line. That also probably takes him out of that pocket of his prime.
And I think you sign into a deal at a cap number where if Grushnikov pushes them down to your 7th spot, you feel okay with that number.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that's
Solovyov, Kuznetsov, like any of these guys. Yes.
They got a lot of guys who are checkers and defensive guys. Especially, I think Solovyov is the closest, but yeah. So
Solovyov's a lefty.
The short answer is we're with you on Weegar. The other 2 guys,
Weegar's non-negotiable. Already is.
Ball more than Pahal, and I think Pahal's just both those guys. It's a question of, well, how long term?
Yeah. And again, a year ago, the same people lobbying for long-term Pahal had not heard of Pahal.
I mean, the sickos had, but
that's what I mean. You're talking about the guys that didn't play in Vegas unless someone was hurt. Mirmanov and Pahal.
Hey, I vividly remember seeing him in Penticton one year playing for the Flames, and he looked perfectly adequate.
He was a good dev camp guy.
He's been on their radar for a while.
No, and he's done a great job. I don't want this to be why does Pinder hate Pahal. It's just, if you look at rosters and slots, the last guys you see given long-term deals are the guys that are in your bottom 6 wingers, your third pair defenseman, your backup goalie. Because those are the guys that are the easiest to replace. They are definition replacement level if they're attained on waivers, which is where you got Pahal last year. He's better than replacement level? Not much.
They had to pay like the $8,000 waiver fee to get him. So, I mean, he good player.
Yeah, thank you, Milk.
Yeah, Pinder. What did he ever do to you?
I don't want this to be why is this
I really like he's Paul. A Prince Albert Raider guy.
He's young Rhett. We love him. He's young Rhett. Sure. Any chance we'll get a young center in trade like Cousins or Pinto? You can try. It's hard. It's like the hardest thing to add in trade.
You're gonna get a center
tell me
else
about
doesn't want, or you're
tell
gonna
me
have to
about-
overpay.
in the last 5 years, the young centers that have moved. I mean, Jack
Mark
Eichel had to
Savard.
replace a disc in his back. That wasn't in the last 5 years. And Jack Eichel, literally, people were like, the surgery might not work. It was overblown, and it's a rather safe surgery, but the Sabres wouldn't even let him do it. That made him available, and you still had to give up a first, a guy you just drafted in the first, and Alex Tuch, who's a good hockey player.
Yeah,
there's just not good young centers available. They aren't.
If a good young center is available, the question's always, why are they available?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's they want too much money, they don't fit the role that the team wants, or some other reason. You're getting a center that for some reason just hasn't fit in somewhere. And this doesn't mean that you can't find value there. There's plenty of players that just don't like. I'm not gonna let's just throw out the name Sam Bennett. The Flames, Sam Bennett just wasn't clicking in Calgary, and there might be
a lot of things. Yeah.
There might be a lot a young center, young forward out there that can do some flex, could play at the center position. But in terms of full-time established centers,
Sam Bennett was not that when he got traded to Florida.
He was a guy who
that spent
center.
more time on the wing and had failed at center ice and didn't look good when you put him with the top players and took too many of his own penalties. And in the playoffs, you really liked him. But yeah, it's not as if the Florida Panthers are like, it's a young center. It's like, no, we like a lot of the tools here. We think he could become. And yeah, he did.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Sam Bennett's a good example of the type of player you'd be available.
Yeah.
Sam Bennett, when Florida got him, was a project.
Okay.
And so the answer is you might have to overpay.
People are suggesting Sam Bennett didn't get a fair chance in Calgary. That's insane. You can go back and watch the tape of him playing with Monahan and Gaudreau and being awful. You can go watch him play center. You can go watch him play wing. You can see him on the second line. You can see him on the third line. You can see him on the fourth line. It didn't work here. It was not for a lack of opportunity. And he had a lot of different coaches, but it wasn't as if they just tried this with Sam, it would have worked. There isn't that thing. They tried everything.
I'll also say this. You had Matthew Tkachuk come in and figure out his identity to his game right away.
Yeah.
You had Mangiapane at the same time period come up and figure out the identity to his game right away. And because none of those guys, people thought he could be a center, they didn't, move him around and be like, are you a center today? No, it's a Wednesday. You're a winger. Oh, wait, are you a center today? It's an odd-numbered Monday. You're a center now. Like, they didn't have that kind of schizophrenia in terms of what their roles were. They said, Tkachuk is a winger. He's gonna be doing this forever. So if folks are saying, oh yeah, they just kept moving around, I'm sympathetic to that idea because I think it might have made it a little bit difficult for him to sort of carve out a specific niche for himself.
Also got passed.
He also got a ton of opportunities.
You got opportunities everywhere and he got passed. He got passed. And they weren't bad. Everyone's saying, oh, they were shit. They weren't. That was a playoff team when he played his first regular NHL hockey. He was 19 years old in the playoffs. They made the playoffs every other year with him, basically.
Yeah.
And that's probably a part of the issue in a weird way. If they're bad and they could just ram him in at 2C for a whole year, he might have figured it out. But you can't do that when you have Monahan and Lindholm and Backlund.
That's how Monahan figured it out.
Right? It was no expectation. So, but you can't offer that. That opportunity they couldn't offer him to be an awful, awful team and play the shit out of them. That was not an option for these teams. They were supposed to win. I just saw something. If you could jump back, Jack, to something we just saw, Mike Woods at 11:31 has a good question. This is the question I get a lot. And Ryan, I know you're doing some work on. It is, what's the deal with Montreal and Calgary and the first round draft pick and the conditions surrounding it?
The conditions are a full page of Microsoft Word.
Yeah, the conditions were originally as long as an elephant's trunk, and now it's a much more condensed, like only 2 or 3 pages long. But in really, really, really oversimplified terms, because Florida's good. We know that. We don't have to pretend Florida's going to finish in the bottom 10.
Let's assume Florida makes the playoffs, and so their pick there's no chance of them winning the lottery and being a top 10
yes
pick.
Easy assumption. So done.
That's a given. So if the Flames after the lottery have a pick that's in the top 10, then they hold on to their pick and Florida's pick goes to Montreal.
Okay,
done. If the Flames are outside of the top 10 after the lottery, then Montreal gets whichever pick between Calgary and Florida's is earlier.
Which obviously would be Calgary.
If the Flames have a pick post-lottery that's 13th and Florida's is 32nd, the 13th pick goes to Montreal to finish off that trade.
This is where we need to, you're incredibly accurate. We need you to just make some assumptions for us. And I know you're not comfy making them, but I am going to read you the standings for the NHL, for the league. The Florida Panthers are currently 4th. And by points percentage, they're 4th.
I'm just going to.
So if we have to tell people, well, what if Florida wins the lot? They're 4th in the league. They're not going to miss the playoffs. They're probably going to win the division. It's probably picked 25 to 32. That's a really safe bet that they would be a top 8 team in the NHL.
Yeah. And
so if we just assume that, it becomes very simple. The Calgary Flames, if their draft pick is 1 through 10, they get to keep it and send Florida's away.
Correct.
And if the Flames, maybe they finish 10th from the bottom and someone passes them in the lottery to go from 11 to 10. If the Flames pick is 11 or later, that's going to go to Montreal because the Flames are not going to have a higher pick than the Florida Panthers this year.
Not a chance.
Thank you.
Not a chance.
Simplified, finish bottom 10.
Yeah.
Or your pick goes to Montreal.
And for those of you who are obsessing over the standings right now, I'm going to plug Dom Sessions' work over The Athletic. He does regular forecasts of standings. Yeah. Right now, if you go over The Athletic, the Flames are part of a giant glut of teams between like 6th and 14th, all separated by like 4 or 5 points.
Okay.
And so there's going to be separation there. So I would say if you're having fun, have fun. If you're the type of person who has anxiety over draft picks, I would say start obsessing over these standings after Christmas. You're only going to waste your own time being too emotional about where they are, especially considering that, as we've all seen, typically teams get their preseason funk out in October. Everyone's kind of crappy in October to varying degrees. Teams start getting their crap together in November, and then the league hits another gear in January. Then after the deadline, the league hits another gear. So
good teams get better. The worst teams get even worse. I don't expect this team to be buying at the deadline. We'll see. I don't want to take the wind out of their sails, but it's a bottom third of the league roster that I think has worked incredibly hard and has played with a lot of great structure given to them. Does it last? We'll see. You're welcome, Mike.
And just to plug myself on my YouTube channel, I have a extremely detailed video. It's like 13-minute explanation about all the damn picks they have, because I've gotten this question a lot.
So it's done now, because I know you're working on it.
It's going out tomorrow morning.
Okay, there you are. Perfect. So tomorrow morning, Mike, if you want the 13-minute version of that, YouTube.
It includes the New Jersey pick.
Oh my God, kill me. Let's move to another question, Jack. We're at 47 minutes. Let's give another 5 here. Good evening, Pike and Pinder. Happy Tuesday. Good evening. Good evening. Saying hi to friends. Any ideas or thoughts to fix the special teams? Any tweaks? I don't have a systems complaint about either. But the penalty kill should just be better. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's almost the exact same personnel as last year.
I think they need to shoot more in the power play, but I prefer just a simple huck it at the net and hope weird stuff happens. Because the things that are killing the Flames,
you can't get lucky.
The things that are killing the Flames, the PK, is other teams are chucking it on net and weird stuff's happening.
Yes. So the save percentage for the penalty kill is unsustainably bad. Correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's just putting it in the net and getting lucky. They're not getting that on their own power play. Okay, next, let's go there. Sorry, I don't have more on the systems there. In the last 5 games, Flames are 2-1-2. Is that better than expected, right where they should be, or worse than expected? Okay, well, it was a 4-game point streak. Glad to bring it up. Thank you, Richard. They were 2-0-2 in their last 4. Montreal is in their neighborhood, talent-wise and expectation-wise. They're down. They rally. It almost looked like they're down 2. They challenge a goal, get it overturned. Coronado plays hero. Nice performance. Boston, a tier above them in skill and expectations prior to the season. That's a quality get to overtime, earn a point. They also, again, erased the deficit in that one. Am I correct?
I think so.
Trying to remember. And then Buffalo erased another deficit, down 2. Buffalo's in their neighborhood. I think you'd expect Buffalo to be taking strides. You weren't sure about the Flames, but someone in the same class as them. Monday night, an impressive performance against an LA team that has been better than them. Flames outworked him, outstructured him. Best game of the year for Dustin Wolf, I'd argue. Quality there. And then tonight, scheduled loss. I mean, it's kind of the better end of what expectations would be. If you could play that stretch at 500, you'd be happy. And they're sitting with, 6 points in 5 games. So a little, it's a little better than you probably would have done it on a napkin a month ago.
Yeah. And in the games they lost, they looked decent. Like
Yeah.
they didn't look. You never look. There was no stinker. There was no Utah or Vegas losses in here that made you go, do they know what game they were playing? They seemed in all these games, so you can't really blame much.
Okay, next we'll rip through them, Jack, and you let us know when you got left. This from Kim. Why the H has Pospisil been used as a whipping boy by the coach? Last year, he could do no wrong, took way more penalties. This year, another Sam Bennett. No, I've liked Pospisil. It's just, I don't see whipping boy. I think, look, when you play the way he does, there's going to be some penalties that are probably like, I shouldn't have done that. But he's trying to play on an edge. And you're right. And to Kim's point, was it 3 times he's been sat down for a period this year?
Yeah.
With the latest coming on the weekend against Buffalo, I believe you'd noted. Yep. Look, he's playing a new position. It's his first full season in the NHL when you consider he missed a month at the beginning of last year. They're asking him to do a lot. I don't think that means he's a whipping boy. I think they really appreciate what he brings to the table.
Yeah. They wouldn't put him at center if they didn't think he could do it. And I think that's the challenge. I think he's looking at Pospisil and watching a lot of his games, especially in person. His details are a little bit off because I think he's thinking too much. I think he's, when you're especially getting used to center at the NHL level, there's a lot of little things you have to keep in mind that maybe you don't think about when you're a forechecking winger.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Next.
One more.
We're done?
One more.
Thank you. This from Jamie Reed. As a Canucks fan, how have you felt about Kuzi lately? Not a lot of puck luck. He's not getting the puck to net enough. I saw on the broadcast they had something along the lines of 13 shots his last 12 games. You're a shooter, man. You got to get the puck to net. And again, that line, it's Pospisil at center, who's a new position for him. And it's Huberdeau, who suddenly is better in his own zone than the offensive zone, which is wild to me because it's the exact opposite profile as what he was in Florida when they added him.
Huberdeau is the best player in that line right now.
And not for any of the reasons you think he'd be a good player.
No.
For all the reasons you think Michael Backlund's a good player.
Against LA, he was blocking shots.
Yes. What the hell's going on here?
I think Kuzmenko, as Kuzmenko goes, so does the power play. I think Kuzmenko is trying to get too fancy. He has, just because you have the ability to make a fancy play doesn't mean that you need to do that all the time.
And that's describing what Huberdeau looks like when he's not right.
If he plays a little bit more direct, like say, if you're okay with making a simple, potentially ugly play rather than trying to, paint a Picasso every time you have the puck, we know he has the capability of doing that. But I think because he never plays direct, defenders don't have to defend that part. They can just wait for him to do something fancy. So
chance in the first, him and Pospisil, I think it was 2-on-1, doesn't quite get to him. If I'm trying to read my notes here, where else did Kuzmenko pop up? I mean, 3-on-2. It's Huberdeau to Rasmus Anderson over to Kuzmenko. Nice save, but you just want to see, to your point, a little more direct and a little less. It looks like a high skill player that's fighting it a bit because that's when they get a little extra cute.
Yeah,
that's what he is.
He looks like he's gripping the stick a bit too hard.
Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting because last year got hot down the stretch, scored at about a 40-goal pace in Calgary. I don't hear the sign Kuzmenko to a max term deal people as much right now. And I get it. Like, why would you? He's riding a heater last spring and he's a bit in the cooler right now, but it is a reminder that this is a rather one-dimensional player, but it is the one dimension that is the most rare in the sport. It's the ability to make great offensive plays and score. When you don't see it, it's tough for him to add value because he's not a great checker. He's not a penalty killer. It's hurting your power play that he's not scoring. That line doesn't do a ton offensively. But when he's right, man, it's not saying this person's right, this person's wrong, but you can see when he's right, how much it helps him. When he's off, how it really is a momentum guy. Yeah, when he's on, you love him. When he's off, it's like, God, I want to see more. Where is he?
And especially in terms of his position and the things he does well. If you're the Flames, if you want to maximize his value, it does not matter if he's fighting it right now. You got 40 games
keep playing
for him to get a swagger going. And if he has a swagger in February, that's all you need.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. Keep rolling him out there. Maybe you tweak some lines, but I'm not cutting this guy's ice time down. I mean, The one thing I'll say about Mantha being gone is Mantha for a while had taken Kuzmenko's spot, and Kuzmenko was on the fourth line. I'm like, that's not how you get assets for this guy. Playing him with Rooney and Lombard, albeit for a few periods here or there, but give him a regular shift.
I think if you're trying to get him to play a bit more direct, the Rune Dog plays a direct game. Lombard plays a direct game.
Yes.
If you're trying to get guys to simplify, I kind of get that, because I think that was probably the idea with Mantha too.
Sure.
Yeah. But long story short, he needs to be playing with high skill players.
Yeah, exactly that. And I get it. It's carrot and stick. But if you want Kuzmenko to be a core player or to look like a guy you can trade for a large asset, both, it's the same player. It's a really dynamic offensive guy that's scoring. Put him with skilled players. Put him in all the plum offensive minutes. Let him start every power play. And they've given most of that most of the year. It's not a huge critique. It's going to happen for him. He's riding, I imagine, just dog shirt shooting percentages right now that are only due to become more normal.
Yeah. And, if he's playing with Huberdeau the way Huberdeau is playing in his own zone, they're going to have the puck a lot.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. That'll do it for Afterburner. Reminder, normal barn burner tomorrow. Flames are off till Friday. I think we touched everything we wanted to do on this night. Flames fall to 8-6-3, still 2 games above full 500.
Still in the playoffs.
Not bad. They still even ahead of the Oilers after a victory tonight. Goodness, Oilers, what are you doing? Really messing this up for us, huh?
Hey, they want to make it so that
8-6-3.
All these games are very important for them.
Yeah, they got 2 points on the Oilers. Oilers have a game in hand. There you go.
What a shame. I mean,
it's a shame.
They're building something special up there.
The Undynasty, I'm calling it. That's going to curse everything.
They built the humidifier up there. That was something special.
That's yeah. Thank you, friends. We will we'll see you again next Afterburner Friday, Barn Burner tomorrow, 10:10 or so. See how everyone's mood is. Talk to you then.